you're just not helping that stereotype at all, right? Because it's like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? And it's just like,
Did
we
you
just
see
can't.
the video of Trump at his rally the other day?
Oh no, what's up?
So he got, I can't remember what the restaurant was, but he got a menu from a restaurant, and like the point he was trying to make is that since Joe Biden's been president, this menu is now a lot more expensive than it was when he was president. And he was going through it line by line, and he was going like $15 for some chicken. That's Joe Biden prices, and he was just like doing that kind of thing. And then he got to some Korean fried chicken. And he went Korean fried chicken. Back in my day, all the fried chicken was American. It's just like...
Oh, that's not a good look, is it? Oh yeah, I fucking hell. Yeah, politics.
I don't know if I would say politics in general. He's just, I don't know.
Well, I mean, in the set. Oh, go on, Manuel.
I said I'm trying to stop myself from saying some very mean things, so I probably just won't.
Oh, okay. I would say it's politics because he made it political. That's definitely what makes it politics. Because if you make it as a political statement, like, oh, look at the Joe Biden prices because he's president, then afterwards it's like, yeah, you've made it into a political thing. And so it's like that's a bit different. Like if he just made a statement, like, look at these prices, but didn't mention anyone, then it'll be like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. But because he had, so it's like
he's just another level of just, I'm tired of this guy. It's just.
I mean, like,
Donald Trump doesn't deserve you.
He deserves something.
Well, he doesn't deserve any of us, that's for sure. He deserves justice, and that's being behind bars.
But is he actually behind bars yet?
No,
he won't get.
Yeah, he has money. As long as he has money, he'll find a way out of it. That's the problem.
Oh yeah,
as well. Like, I mean, after what happened at the last election, you'd be scared to prosecute him because it's just going to start more riots.
Yeah, that's horrible, isn't it?
I mean, I'm glad the people.
I mean, unless because it's like a double trap, right? Where they look, Trump is in prison. All right, let's go rescue him, and they have all those like Jan 6 protesters go into that prison, and they lock the doors behind him, and they're like, "Ha! You're in prison now as well. Gotcha, bitches!" And it's like, "All right, yeah, no, that could work. That's all right." Yeah.
If they did that, like, it would be like, shit, we've really got to fund the prison system to cope with this.
Oh, but that's a whole conversation in itself. Oh no, we've got too much money in the prison system. But if we arrest the Jan 6 people, fuck, that's different.
Off like, and he'll have to pay like a sum of money. There might be some things he has to do to be helpful, like maybe some donations or maybe some charitable shows of charity, and then that will be it. But we need Roshank from Watchmen to just come in here and teach him a lesson.
That's a very extreme, because that's too nice for him.
You're not trapped in here with me. What was he say? He said, "You're not trapped in here. I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me." That's what it is.
Roshank, he can do damage anyway. Rorschach, sorry. Anyway.
Rorschach is what his name is in the prison when he shanks people.
Okay, Simon, or I should show you. Anyway, why did you pick this film?
So, actually, we have. Well, it's great. Not only to us two, unfortunately, everyone else seems to be. I picked it mainly because it was a conversation that we've had before about anime or live action versions of anime, films, and it's like there isn't any good ones. It's essentially what it is. I chose this one because I thought it was the only good one. I also made a mistake because I realized the reason why I think it was okay is because I read the manga, and that's a fault of my own, and I apologize for that. We really should, as I am very willingly going to admit, we should have watched Beginnings first, because I've had this, because as a conversation that's been had with other people, I've had with other people, it's like you like Origins because you know the manga, but if you watched Beginnings, it's the best as a standalone film. And
so
like
Beginnings becomes before Origins. I thought they were both kind of interchangeable.
It's Star Wars and Star Wars Episode 1. It's like, which Star Wars are you talking about? And it's like, it's there. It's like, oh yeah, you can like Star Wars.
The end is the beginning.
Yeah. so
I initially started watching was the one that you said
probably
is the better one.
It's probably the better one, right? Because fuck yeah, I know. Yeah, but it's one of those things of like, because people who've watched this film, like Origins, original one, right, like it because they know the manga. But I completely forgot, as you guys probably have no idea what the manga is about, or like all the differences about it. Probably have it like blank slate, don't know anything about it. Watched it and went, it's a bit slower paced than I would like it, or it's a bit more plain than I kind of imagined this film to be. And I watched it again, and I was like, you're right. Fuck. I realized that because there's lots of things that they've cut out from the manga, which I thought is okay. It's a bit unrealistic if you put it in a live action, but it'd be cool if they did. Oh, say Emmanuel.
They also added some stuff in and then blended some stuff.
Yeah, but they did add the correct stuff, or they did take away the correct stuff, because there's whole fucking like scenes where they're like at the dojo and there's supposed to be like a makeshift cannon made from wood and they're blowing apart the dojo, but he slices up the cannon anyway because it's cool that way. And it's like some really cool anime bullshit, which is fine for this sort of movie because you needed it to be some cool anime bullshit. But it wasn't. It was a bit plain. And I was like, oh, right. Live action version, right? Oh, it's fun. Yeah. So eventually whenever he does, what did he say? Swing by and go clown shoes. I have to say, yeah, I think it's Beginnings was the better standalone film. So, Pat, if you watch Beginnings, you probably like, yeah, it's not too bad a film. But you watch Origins, so you'd be like, which sucks because it's a film series, but it's kind of like, do I watch Phantom Menace first or do I watch original Star Wars first? And it's like, do you need context for each one? Kind of, but like if you watch Phantom Menace first, it's fine. Because because there's things that happen in A New Hope that don't make sense unless you have context from the original trilogy, or as the original trilogy, as in the prequel trilogy. And it's like, yes, your father fought in the Clone Wars. And it's like, that's a New Hope line. But it has no context until you go watch the fucking like prequel trilogy. And you're like, oh, so that's the Clone Wars, right? Yeah. And it's like, he just pulled that shit out of his ass, and it's just like, it's canon now. Yeah. But anyway, that's the reason I chose it. So it's like, I thought it would have been a decent pick. It was a bit mid. All that means is when I choose an actual bad pick in like two or three rounds, I just know it's just gonna be fucking amazing. That's fine. So
I don't even think this was about. It was just really boring.
Yeah, but isn't saying boring kind of bad as well?
Well, it depends who you speak to. So, like, if you talk to Rob, the worst, because he's got nothing to praise or nothing to shit on. Yeah, I suppose it is. Yeah, I can see.
It was very bland. It was the very plain, plain toast. That's what it is.
I think bland is probably the word I'd use, because it's like to me it was like I felt like I kind of it finished where it began, and there was kind of a lot of in between, but there was no sort of I didn't feel like there was like a journey from the start until the end. I feel like we just kind of got dropped into it and carried on where we were.
Well, to be honest, this is only like the first like book, and it's like and it gets way deeper the more of the manga chapters you read. And this is like 10 chapters, if that. And it's just like, all right, yeah, it's the beginning of the story. Yeah, this is how the actual manga begins. But I was like, you know, they cut stuff out.
Not to take the wind out of your sails, Ben, but I feel like it maybe would have benefited from being a miniseries, if that's the.
I mean, it's a movie series. If
that's
that helps.
What I'm saying.
I mean, to be honest, it is a movie series, which doesn't. I mean, like it helps, but like I don't think all of them. I mean, like Ben, watch the rest and tell us what you think then. I mean, like. Yeah, so if you watch just the rest and goes, actually, it's not too bad, and then what that means is, yeah, it's a slow burn.
Yeah.
But not everyone has time to watch all of that, anyways. It's kind of like, yeah, it's a bit much, and I feel like doing that too much to you guys would be, yeah, I mean, it's a bit much, you know.
I mean, to be fair, I would quite happily watch more of it, but it's just, yeah, I don't know, like it's, I think. If watching more of it came with like the promise that it develops into something a bit different, I'd be more than happy to carry on with it. But yeah, it was a bit too one note for an opening film for me, I think. But maybe that's where what you're saying about watching the beginning first would have benefited it.
Yeah, the prequel sequel was probably have been better. Yeah, it's a thing that I didn't realize. I should have asked Reddit first. I should have checked the Reddit. No, I've actually no, because I've watched this. I haven't watched the beginnings because I've read the manga instead, and it's like, yeah, but like I know already. Yeah, so of course you know already. You watched you read the books, and it's like it's a different contextually. It's actually no. Before we get back to me explaining myself, let's get back to Ben. What did you think about it?
It's well, to be fair, I was going to say it is a well-made, good film. I just wasn't really plugged into it. I think it was kind of like a bit one note for me. Like I understand all the like semantics and like how the story unfolds and how it works and the characters' MO and kind of where it goes from A to B, and I thought that was really well done. It was quite linear, and I liked that. And the villain was interesting, and the whole like world it was set in, the time frame was interesting too. I just felt it needed a bit more pizzazz, kind of a bit more something that makes it pop. Yeah. So it was kind of a bit monotonous to a point. Like everyone is doing everything well, everyone's acting the best they can. I think it's hitting all the notes, but it's not quite doing enough to make it really stand out, at least in my opinion, and for me to like connect to it. So obviously I probably would connect to it more if I was more versed in the source material, the original animes and all that. So that probably would help my experience. And yeah, and I did like how grounded it was in comparison to something a bit more outlandish. Obviously, something like Chinese Odyssey, for instance, it's a very over-the-top big fantasy epic. So I liked how it was kind of like, yeah, it's the 1800s. It's just after the Civil War, or this and that, or what happened in Japan. So I kind of appreciated that side of it, and like the production and the costume and the music and all that was working for it. But it kind of like the characters seemed a bit. Yeah, there wasn't much to them apart from what their goal was and their motives and what they wanted to set out for the story. But maybe on the whole, seeing it in the series, it might improve it a bit better. As this is like obviously one of the first chapters. So yeah, as Rob says, yeah, a miniseries would probably be like better because it'd been more bite-sized chunks and you can digest it. And if this is season 1 of said miniseries, and it's like a 8 series in a whole, it'd probably be like quite good because then you could over time develop these characters and really see how they really develop more and see their quirks a bit better, and you can see how they develop. And yeah, that's how I think it would be better at. Because yeah,
all I can say is, guys, have my Crunchyroll. We gotta remember, unfortunately, that the author is a nonce. But that's about it. That's about it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Crap.
Yeah, that's the only bad. Well, that's the main bad point actually. But like, yeah, generally speaking, the story is still good.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it's a shame. How about you, Emmanuel? How did you feel? Because I feel like you understood the source material a little bit better than the others.
So I found it interesting because I I'm only vaguely aware of, like, yeah, before watching it, I was only vaguely aware of the manga and I knew how much of a classic it was, but I never actually really read it. It's just been one of those things. I knew that it's a classic from when we were kids to yeah, growing up. Um and I this is probably going to sound very confusing, very, I don't know, it's like a, even maybe controversial, but I enjoyed it pretty much like almost the same. Yeah, I enjoyed it for different reasons, almost the same as Seven Samurai.
That will hurt the other guys much more than it will hurt me. That's.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, this film is
God,
good.
Alec is not here. He would have bit your head off if Alec was here. He's gonna rewatch this. I'd be pissed, but like, it's fine. It's fine. It's like, yeah. But explain yourself quickly. So he gives it time to explain himself.
It's all right. Come at me, bro. Anyway, it again, but I think one of the key things is that it did feel.
Ben, you've been very loud.
Sorry.
Got that, Ben.
I just had to send a meme.
Wait, is this on purpose? I was like, okay, I'll stop talking. No, I felt like it was a good live action version of how it feels to read the manga in terms of how it flows, the type of characters you have, the type of lines that are kind of said, the type of things that happen, and the ideals they had, and the reactions from people, and just everything felt very much like I was reading a a good manga, a pretty good manga about a samurai who really doesn't want to go back to that type of life. And I've read different things like that. Vinland Saga is another one, and I wonder if it was inspired by it. Vinland Saga is basically a Norse version of this story, where it was a kid assassin, but as he grows up, or he gets past as he becomes an adult, even though parts of the wars are still going on, he's saying, I don't want any part of this anymore. I do not want to kill anymore. And his life and stuff keeps dragging him back to that.
I was about to say, the Vinland Saga is very much the Northmen that Alec picked, and like the Northmen's a very, very good film to me, and I think like it's very similar to the Vinland Saga manga, and when he watches back, he'll be probably calling us weebs. Yeah, I could break the fourth wall, Alec. I know what you're gonna say about us, but in any case, but like that storyline is very interesting because it's like the revenge storyline, but it's too much, and like he needs to tone it down. And there's the whole like story about, do I need to have anger and hatred and like murder? Do I have to have enemies? I don't really have enemies. I've like forgiven my own vengeance and hatred, so I don't need to fight anyone anymore. So it's a big storyline. It's one of the like top adult mangas out there, next to like Berserk and shit. And that's a statement, to be honest.
Berserk.
Yeah, well, Berserk is a whole fucking like can of worms that we will not open here, because I don't think these guys would like it at all. Or they might like it, but it's like we won't go. We'll burn that bridge when we cross it. But like in any case, it's like it's the whole this storyline is very this movie was very manga-esque for like the sort of characters that developed, and I think it
newer. It's like older school manga-esque, and I think that's probably the thing. And since if you're not a fan of that, like, yes, Pat's a fan of Dragon Ball Z, but Dragon Ball Z still does it a bit differently. It's not this type of manga. That's like another type of old school manga. So I guess it does kind of appeal to different people, and it depends what you like, I guess. But sorry, carry on, Simon.
I was just gonna say, because like the style of it is very manga-esque and anime-esque of that time period, and I think it works that way. But as a person who, well, as film club, I have to realize that certain people would not always enjoy that stuff, which is fine. That's a controversial, like what you like and what you don't like is a whole thing in itself, right? That's a conversation we guys have every other fucking week, anyways. But it's a question of like, if I was to introduce you to a series, this is probably it was a higher barrier to entry than if I did choose the beginning. Because if I chose the beginning and you guys were like, oh, I see what his backstory is, I see the actual conversation about why he has those fucking scars on his face, because it's the whole, I mean, it's mentioned in this movie a bit, right? It's like the scar is like from a person who's going to get married the next day, and this scar is from the person he was going to marry. But they cut out the second part of that phrase where it's like, the woman I fell in love with. And it's like, why did you cut that part out? That was very fucking important in the fucking story. And you're supposed to like, there's a whole fucking story behind that. And it's like,
they changed in the film. The long one is from the young samurai that he actually killed. And the cross one is from the woman he was going to marry. He did marry.
I don't think No. He fell in love with her, but he didn't actually marry her. There's a whole fucking thing about it.
It was about to get married, yeah. Changed it. I guess just to simplify it.
A whole fucking backstory, completely removed, and it's like that you remove like the dark, mysterious parts of it, and like everything in this movie makes sense, like physically and like thematically for this film. All the stuff that they have done and made, even some of the more slightly bullshitty anime-esque parts, like the final battle part, that's technically real. In the weirdest sense, it's all technically correct stuff. It just needed the deeper backstory behind it, because you have the guy with the big fucking sword, which is like a bit more comic relief. Yes, he is slightly comic relief in the manga as well, but they made him too much of a comic relief in here, because that sword, the Sam Backtoe, actually exists and is actually used for killing cavalry, which is a big part of his backstory, because the guy who trains him was considered a traitor to like the emperor, and like it's a whole story about you see his like dad's head stuck on a fucking pike. As a whole, it's so much. There was so much you could do to add to the story, but it wasn't explained well. And it was like kind of rushed, and they just made him comic relief character that punches a lot, which is fine because he does punch a lot. To the point where he develops a technique where he punches so fast, it's like he punches twice, and it's like yeah, it's a bit silly. That's how he hits. Essentially, he punches, but punches again so fast, it's like 2 punches at once. Wow, twice the punch. Yeah, okay.
One thing I'll be interested in hearing is from everyone is how if you could make it better, what changes do you think they should have made to make this film better?
That is a good question. I feel like would you have preferred more backstory, a bit more action, a little less silly comedy? It needs a little bit of silly comedy. Maybe there's if you could trim the fat or add some stuff to this film, what do you think you guys could have added or removed?
Do you know what? It's kind of like the opposite of that analogy for me, because it's like, I don't know. I didn't feel like there was a great deal of fat to trim, so I would have quite happily added quite a bit.
Okay. That's a fair analysis.
Yeah, it doesn't really have anything lacking apart from it. You're right. It needs more things to make the characters a bit more quirkier, a bit more nuanced, and a bit more twists and turns that make it more of an interesting story for me. Yeah. Like the lead character, what's his Rurouni himself. He's fine. He's very straight laced and straight down the middle, but he kind of either needed more nuance and a bit more something that make him more not only but likable, lovable, and a bit more endearing. But then maybe on the other hand, maybe do the opposite. Maybe keep him as straight as possible, but make everyone else kind of a bit more outlandish.
I mean,
kind of make him stand out more than the rest. There has to be a way to make him really stand out.
This could sound bad, right? But when they analyzed his character, someone said, "Does he just have ADHD?" And I looked and I watched the anime series. And I was like, he kind of does, and that really annoys me. Because that point makes sense. Essentially, he's silly when we get reintroduced to him when he's like eating like the candy and he's like watching the festival, and he's like he says his little catchphrase "Oro," which is ORO, which is like a catchphrase throughout the whole like manga series when he does something stupid, and he's like,
even the way,
it's
differently, and I'm just like, I keep waiting to hear like what most Japanese people would say, but then he adds this extra end bit.
Yeah,
I'm just like, oh, okay, that's his character.
Yeah, because his character, as people have made fun of him, is like, yes, because he got ADHD. He just needs to do it because that's how his brain works. Unless he's killing someone, he's a bit simple-minded, and it's like, oh yeah, because like even when he goes out to like buy groceries, there's like a whole thing, right? It's like, do I need to buy eggs? So do I need to buy chicken? Yes. Yeah, and it's just a whole fucking thing about it, and it's just like, oh, okay, I see the problem in his brain. It's like I understand what he's trying to get at, but it's like it's like a whole thing, which is in his character completely, and it's explained and it's more shown in like later in the series, but beginning part you see it a little bit. But it's not. It could have been played on a little bit more before when he goes into actual fighting mode. It's all very because he goes hyper focused when he goes into fighting mode. Like when he's fighting the ruffians, when they're attacking the dojo, he doesn't draw his sword, which annoyed me because I thought he actually did a bit more swordplay. It wasn't that, but instead they used the wooden sword and smashed the guy's face in. Which is like, I get it because it's not killing, but it's like the Batman version of not killing. Yes, I've maimed you completely.
Yeah, I will
you haven't died.
You will wish.
Yeah, I'll beat you into a coma, basically.
Yeah, beat you into a coma, and like you ain't dead, but you're very heavily injured. And it's like, I guess that was fine for the live action version, but like again, because manga realized, because essentially his blade is. Do you guys understand the concept of his like samurai sword? It's like a reverse blade, right? So it's like sharp on the other side, not the slicing side.
Yeah. Sabaka.
Yeah.
I was going to ask something about that actually, Simon.
What's that?
I can't. I might not know exactly much about this, so please correct me if I'm wrong as well, Emmanuel. I mean, because obviously he's the main part of the samurai sword. One side is really sharp, and the other side is blunt. So am I right thinking that if the main attack side of the sword is blunt and the defense side is blunt as well, so therefore the whole sword is blunt, or it's reversed, as in the sharp end is on the blunt side?
It's reversed. That's the correct. It's actually, funny enough, this is a real thing, but for daggers. Essentially, during that time period, you weren't allowed to carry a sword, but there's like a bunch of like shrine maidens who need to carry blades for flower arrangement shit. So it's not actually. So it's kind of like a reverse scalpel, if you get what I mean. It's like this curved part is the sharp part, but because it's reversed, it's kind of like impractical like cutting weapon. But they can use it for their flower arrangements, which is what they did. So it's like, oh, it's just that, but full size. And it's just like, oh, that makes sense. You can't you can't really cut with the reverse side. It's very impractical, right? But
because it's the straight edge, not the curved edge.
Yeah, so it doesn't really make sense. Like the point is sharp still, I guess, but like you can't really cut anyone. That's because if it was sharp, and you looked how he fought the other like homeless samurai guys in like the big garden area, the amount of times he strikes them in the stomach or like on the side, it would have been actual seven samurai bloods, right? Instead of it just being a big solid whack. Because looking at like the movements, the choreography is pretty good, to be honest. But like the movements of it, as like if it was a real cutting sword, they would all be dead because of his style of fighting is so. It's just that fast. It's just like, blood everywhere. No, so that
assassin fighting style, so it's made to go straight for the killing points. I mean, many sword styles are, but
well, that's a conversation I need to have with you guys and like Assassin's Creed for a second. I know this is time out for a second for it, right? So assassin style is not quite right for him. He is called Factosai, which is like manslayer. It's literally how they translate that, right, Emmanuel? And like assassin to me is sneaky, run around in like in ninja armor, ninja stuff. It's like faux cloth. But like when you watch Assassin's Creed with the Yasuke thing, right? He is 7 foot tall in big plate armor. I can't quite get how he's an assassin, and I got confused about that. I don't know if you guys played Assassin's Creed games. I don't know how that works for me because like I can't really imagine assassin, someone who's supposed to sneak around in full plate armor, and it breaks my brain a bit. I don't know if that's like a thing.
I think it's a different it's a different idea behind it. Instead of being a classic assassin, you've got your like the assassins you think of. You've got hitmen and women and whatever. You've got assassins like that type of assassin, and then you have people who are basically similar to mercenaries, but they're not actually mercenaries. They're basically hired killers. And I feel like instead of being called hired killers, they're being called the act of what they're doing. So they're still assassinating someone, but they're not assassins. But are they assassins because of what they're doing, or because of the style they have while they're doing?
Yeah, but that's just called a mercenary, isn't it? But like,
but it's not a mercenary if that's not how they like. They're not, because a mercenary is a very particular thing. Person who goes around freelance, a gun for hire, so to speak. They're a blade for hire, a gun for hire. But in this case, Kenshin a blade for hire, and in the Assassin's Creed series, they're not also blades for hire. They're people who have this creed. We're going to do whatever it takes and kill whoever it takes to br bring about a better world. Whether that is we go around and play armor or we sneak around in the shadows, we'll do whatever it takes. But we're still going to assassinate people, whether it's full daylight or it's in secret. Is this a weird one?
It does. I need to ask someone who plays Assassin's Creed games if you guys. Okay, so
yeah,
is there any other assassins that walk around in full plate armor to assassinate sneakily other characters?
Yeah, there's a lot of. You've got. That's why Pat's probably laughing. Valhalla is that that's what bad. It's just Valhalla. It's Norse fighting, sword fighting.
So there's no sneaking around in the Valhalla one.
So you can sort of sneak around, but see the newer games, they're not really designed like the sort of the Ezio games where you'd be running across rooftops and finding spots to sneakily attack people. I think this is Alex's problem with the Assassin's Creed now is that they're just using the name and taking it to a certain point in history. But the most recent one that came out last year was sort of like a throwback to the roots where it was sneaking around assassinating. But I mean, yeah. Like the character you use, there will be other characters in that world that you meet some, but you don't see them sneaking around slitting people's throats and stuff.
Yeah, because like with this new Assassin's Creed game, there's a whole like female ninja that no one seems to fucking remember the name of because like
it's all taken her over the bloke.
Yasuke, yeah, they're all over Yasuke, and they're like, wow, she's the best fucking assassin there is. No one fucking remembers her.
Can I just say where this is concerned? So people aren't sure whether he was actually a samurai, right?
Well, I'll let you finish first. Sorry.
Now, if people, it seems like people that don't actually play the series or have played it very sparingly in the past have moaned most about this. Most of the characters in the Assassin's Creed universe are made up.
Yeah.
So, like, what is the problem? Like, you take take a person from history that nobody really knows what he was. Like, they know that he existed and he had a specific role, but they don't know how expansive his role is. So they're taking his character and just made something new out of it, which I think is really cool. I think it's a good alternative to the chick.
Admittedly speaking, there is like, this is gonna sound a bit odd, right? There's certain parts of what they're saying I kind of understand. There's an Assassin's Creed game which is set in England, right?
Yes.
I think, yeah, as Unity or is it like Syndicate?
Syndicate.
All right.
Absolutely love that game.
So yeah, it's British. But imagine if suddenly someone says, imagine you had someone as a character who was very famous, but is also an assassin. I was like, who? Imagine William Shakespeare was an assassin. And I'm like,
could you imagine
I kind of get it, but it's like, that's not really the same. Because I'm pretty sure people dying in theatres is a very famous thing that happens. Like, there's a president that got killed in a theatre. So, you know, that happened. So it's like, oh, yeah, it makes sense. But it's like, I get what they were trying to say, but it's like, you don't have to...
They've always included people from history in it. So, like, in the Ezio ones, you have Leonardo da Vinci in it.
Yeah.
The one that's in France...
you have Napoleon.
That's the one. Napoleon is in the one in France. I'm pretty sure there's someone. Yeah, there's the there's the Jack the Ripper missions in Syndicate.
Yeah.
Um,
Origins, you have the last queen of Egypt.
Yep.
I forgot her name now.
And Odyssey, you have the soldiers of the 300.
Yeah.
At the beginning of it, and I haven't got any
Yeah.
further, so I don't know if there's anyone more famous in that. So
Okay.
there's always some person from history or people from history in each of the games. So, I mean, a lot of the criticism that I saw at first was very racial as well. I was like,
right,
like,
yeah.
Because
I see those comments. I don't.
we're not gonna divulge into it. Like it's like really bad. Like,
but essentially, it's easiest to say Yasuke is a real person who had a sword. Was he necessarily a retainer or a samurai? It doesn't matter. He had a sword. He killed people. That's fine.
Yeah.
Again, the only question I had about it was like, it's hard for him to be assassin if he's 7 foot tall, very famous, and in plate armor. It's hard to sneak around if you're 7 foot tall, very famous in plate armor. It makes no sense. Which time back to this movie, the reason why it was a very annoying for him, because he is very famously known as Himaru Batasai, as in the Manslayer. And like they didn't have his face, but they just had his title, which is the reason why Dojo Girl wants to fight him in the first place, because she thought it was him. And it's like, and he's just like, walking back, and it's like, oh, what's happening? Yeah, I mean, I am Batasai, but he wasn't going to admit that first. He's like, I get what you're trying to say. Well, I haven't killed anyone lately. At least I hope I haven't. And he's just like, he's just like walking around.
Yeah, also, I means, because obviously no one here would realize this, but besides you, Simon, means master of sword drawing. And it was technically the Hitokiri part of his name that they didn't have in this film. They just included his, was it like Kenshin or
Kenshin is his given name, but like it's like they did. I mean, no, I think the general.
It was Himura Batasai.
Yeah, Himura, but like they did. The only person who mentioned it, like his full title, is the general when he was trying to recruit him. But that's like a whole. Yeah, he's the only one who gave him like the honors, because as he says, as he was smoking that cigar, we all wanted the same thing. We just did it differently. We wanted to unify Japan, but under different politics. And he smokes that big fucking cigar.
I just find it interesting that the way they use the term Batasai in this one, it felt like some kind of legendary ghost samurai killer type.
I mean, yes, because he was, but like that's a whole conversation in itself.
And it is, but it's also basically a reference to his style and I guess his backstory and like what he is. But it's like it doesn't mean that, but I guess in the context it does have that meaning. So I don't have anything against them doing that. It's just interesting to kind of assign that. Basically you basically get you get the kind of effect of that word without knowing the actual meaning of it, and you assign this meaning that everyone else in the situation basically would have assigned to it because of how many people he killed. So it's just like, even though it doesn't mean killer, it felt like it must mean killer because of just how many he killed and how much of a legend he was.
I think if we was to translate it, it's like people who would be called, if we translate medieval Japan to, let's say, the Wild West, and he was called Gunslinger, you could kind of get like, if he was called the Gunslinger, you'd be like, all right, you're a mad crazy guy who shoots and kills everyone because you've got a title Gunslinger. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense. But it's just like, again, I feel like culturally speaking, there's obviously bits and bobs that you guys may or may not like have understood. I don't know what else to say, unless there's there might be some cultural questions you guys have to ask. I don't know what that would be, but like there's always bits there's like just a few more like localization tweaks. Like you could just change just a little bit and it'll be perfect. But it's like I don't know. I feel like apart from everyone saying it being one note, I don't know what other like questions you guys may have, or like what other points that you think is like, yeah, it's good, or yeah, it was a bit plain. I mean, like I feel like that's the consensus for, you three mostly. But it's like I don't know what else you guys may need to ask, or if you would like to ask any questions about it, I could like try to explain, and you guys might like bump up or knock down the score, but it's like I don't know what you need.
Do you know what? I think the most useful thing for me would be to see the other films in the series and like, because I think maybe the reason I'm getting the impression that there's no real development in it is because I don't know the context of the before and after, and maybe that will like fill in the blanks that I'm missing. I don't know.
I don't want to risk saying yes.
I do have a solution.
What's that?
Stop making live action films out of animes.
Well, I mean, that's not going to happen.
I think I've only enjoyed one, and even then, John has a go at me for liking it. And that's the actual Japanese version of Death Note.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, the English one is just
the English one is trash.
Yeah, and there's certain live action movies that don't exist anymore.
Yeah. I've moaned about this specific one for a long time.
Okay. That's because
I also like the same movie. Like, even though it wasn't amazing, I thought it was alright.
I think in terms of like a live action version of an anime, I think it did well. But I think anime works a little bit different to sort of conventional cartoons, like where it's so over the top in a lot of cases that I think unless you're really going to go all out on a live action film, it's not going to work. A lot of people aren't. Well, I say a lot of people. Rob and Alec aren't going to like my suggestion for this. But watching, me and John agreed on this at the time. I'd have to ask him again because he might change his mind. Okay. But when we watched Man of Steel, we looked at each other and we're like, this would be a perfect Dragon Ball film in terms of the sheer amount of just explosiveness of it. Like the fight between Superman and Zod felt like a Dragon Ball battle.
Yeah.
And I feel like someone like I forgot the director's name now. I got so into it. What's his name again?
Rob and Alec's favourite director.
Yeah, Zack Snyder. I think if Zack Snyder really got his claws into it, which I don't think he has, his like as much as me and Ben like him, I think he's even regressed from the level that we liked him. Then I think you'd make it I think you can make it a really good film out of it.
You give Alec an aneurysm. You've made Zack Snyder. Yeah, he made a very good Dragon Ball Z movie. I feel like I don't know what else to say to that. My brain has melted a bit, right? I don't know what you just said. I don't know if what you said was correct or not, and my brain is like mush.
I think a director that specializes in all that special effects stuff would fare better than the lump of turd that was put out there 10-15 years ago.
Yeah, but you might as well said Michael Bay, to be honest.
Michael Bay might have been a good option as well, because like as shit as he is a director, he's a very good special effects guy.
Yeah.
I've always liked his effects, like early Transformers, Bad Boys. I mean, like he's had some films with really good special effects.
Oh, get Zack Snyder and Michael Bay together,
and have someone competent write it.
Yeah, and then
I mean, if you really want to do that, all right, let's just ask them to make a fucking Gundam movie. and it'll be perfect. It's political shit with giant robots, and it's all in space, and there's lots of explosions. That's
fair,
perfect.
To be fair, like we're speaking hypothetically here, but I don't want to ever see another live action Dragon Ball film. Like that whole series is so dear to me from time I've grown up. For time I was a kid and growing up, that seeing that felt like death of a family member.
Oh yeah,
That's how heartbroken I was watching it. I went with my brother to watch it. My brother was extremely entertained because every 10 minutes he'd look over at me and see me visibly more and more and more angry.
Oh, that's fucking yeah.
I've never been
was,
like that at cinema.
It was a rough movie, wasn't it?
I watch it, but yeah.
I even asked for a refund when I come out.
It was a rough movie.
Like you said, there's some things that's really hard to be made into live actions. Like where Rurouni Kenshin should work. Yeah, it probably needs to be made from a different perspective. That, like you said, I'm assuming with beginnings, is probably made from a slightly different perspective of let's make a good standalone samurai film, rather than make a live. And yeah, it wouldn't be true necessarily in many ways to the manga. You can still put a lot of little Easter eggs and little references to it so that it still pays tribute to it, but it would be a much better standalone film, I guess. And I think that's the thing about those. It's like, do you kind of make it so it's satisfy minority audience who really care about that, or do you make it into something else that a lot of mainstream, not just mainstream, a lot of people would actually like?
So, I mean, I guess the question of it being is then is adding stuff that wasn't originally in the source material to bulk it up necessarily, which, as you guys have said, and hello, Alec, how are you? And how everyone, especially I said, is a bit more singular noted or one noted. Sorry, if we added more stuff to it, it wouldn't be the same as the source material, but that could be a good thing. But again, as I said earlier, if we watched beginnings instead of origins, you guys might have liked it more because it would have introduced the actual, like, the backstory before it gets to the main story. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, chronological order would have been better than like theatrical release order. So it's like, it happens. It's a whole Star Wars Episode 1. No, I mean, A New Hope. Yeah, okay, either way. So,
one thing quickly.
Oh, yeah, go
on. Just going back on something that I was saying before about making anime into live action. The only thing recently that I've seen that works is the One Piece show on Netflix.
I mean, even that doesn't work completely because it ruins the pace of the show completely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm coming from someone that's not really watched the anime, but I'm like really enjoying the show.
I mean, like, it looks great, right? And I feel like the actors are very good, actually. I really do like the actors. The main guy who plays Luffy, I think he's Hispanic. I'm not quite sure, but like when asking, like when they asked like when they asked Oda, and it's like, yeah, I've always imagined him to be Hispanic, and it's like, oh, cool. And it's like, yeah, looking at all the characters, they look quite spot on. There's like a few tweaks. I feel like they could have drew the eyebrows on Sanji, but like that's a me pick. That's a nitpick, to be honest. But like seeing it, I was like, yeah, the characters are good. The pacing is horrible. They've jumped like hundreds upon hundreds of like storylines. They just get to. They've jumped too much. They've added. They went way too fast.
It's like going, oh, we're going to show a new audience. I don't know, let's say the equivalent of Dragon Ball Z. Let's do the cut down version. Is it I forgot what it's called now. Rather than show Yeah, Kai. Instead of show every single episode, it's 1,000 freaking episodes.
I hate
It's
Like
Kai.
that would. I know you hate Kai. Sorry that you hate Kai, but someone who's just getting into it, I do not blame them for cutting that down. There's too
Yeah.
much.
yeah,
Oh,
but no,
See,
but it cuts down in the worst possible way. It's kind of like them seeing Freezer, but they haven't went to Namek yet, and it makes no sense. And
yeah.
it's like,
So
it's
there's
just,
a lot of filler that's been cut out, and some of it is nonsense, but nonsense that I really enjoy. But then the some of it that's actually quite important to the story.
yeah.
So I can see where you're coming from, where One Piece is concerned. If they've jumped so much and they've basically cut a whole segment out of the manga or anime, and it's something I do want to start watching at some point.
good luck.
Well, if I'm out of work for any length of time, I've got lots of time. But hopefully that's not the case. I'll be back in a minute.
Sorry, but before, damn it. I was gonna say, there is like a free cut or re-edited version of One Piece that makes it more streamlined, which is fine. That's fine. But like jumping from him meeting his crewmates, where he hasn't even met all of his crewmates before he meets his granddad, where he gets the shit kicked out of by his granddad, and that's part of the storyline. And that's the whole like you jumped, mixed it up, and you changed it again. There was even like a talks about Megan Thee Stallion being like Hancock, and it's like you've not even got to. Yeah, there's a comment. I remember reading that. I don't know if that's like a fake article or not. Hopefully, it's a fake article, but it's like you've not even got into the grand lines yet. How the fuck are you gonna meet Boa Hancock? It makes no fucking sense. It's just like you've jumped too far into the story. That's like going from Frodo is suddenly at the Twin Towers, but Frodo didn't go to the Twin Towers. He was going to Mordor. It makes no sense. Anyways, Alec, how did you find this film? Your opening introduction.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Fucking boring. It's boring. It's boring film. Seriously,
Okay.
boring. Bored me.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm going my next pick. Well, not my next pick. My next couple picks is going to be just edgy, just pure edginess, just edge and edge plus edge, double edge. That's all I just need to know. You guys are not going to like mine. Not the next round pick, but the next round.
It's all about his son's going to edge us. That's what he's going to plan.
If I did edge you, it wouldn't be as boring as this film. It's probably what you guys want to say. Yeah. That's that. To be honest, I get what. Well, we've had this conversation for a bit now, Alec, and I feel like I understand where you guys are coming from. Where you guys say it's a bit more single noted, and like if we watched beginnings instead of origins, you probably would have enjoyed it because it's the actual like backstory of everything, and like if you had that, you'd probably been like, oh, okay, I can see his motivations now. Let's watch the rest of the mini series. I say mini series; it's 2 hours per film, so it's not a mini series really. But like, yeah, we could have got more out of it, and that's like that's fine.
I feel like I got all of his motivation. I feel like I understood. I don't know why I understood it so completely as I think I do. But I think it had something to do with the fact he kept repeating it. I feel like it was just like I have a sword that cannot kill. I don't want to kill because I've killed a lot of people, and that's why I walk around with a sword I don't kill. And I don't like killing people.
Which is
it was just that too.
Yeah, which is a very simplistic
sort
of like storyline which everyone can enjoy. Yeah, okay.
Everyone can enjoy.
Yeah, because it's a very easy to follow storyline.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
you know what? It's definitely easy to follow.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, it's a theme park full of dinosaurs.
It's hard. It's hard in the sense that you keep waking up and going, "Oh shit, I've got
to." Sorry. Yeah, no, yeah. I get what you mean. Yeah, it's a. I feel like if I chose beginnings first, you guys might have actually liked it a little bit more. But apart from that, yeah, it's the way it is.
I'm gonna watch Beginnings because from the 10 minutes that I watched, I was like, this seems like a decent film.
Yeah, I mean, like we haven't done like film homework for a while, as you guys called it. I don't know what you guys used to call it, but like you could always watch the rest of the series,
Yeah,
or you can watch.
That's what it was.
Or you can watch the anime on the Crunchyroll, which I still have. But it's like, yeah, either way.
I was quite intrigued through all this. I don't know like masses about the shogunate era or anything. But like, yeah, I thought this was like a cool.
Oh yeah,
the way to explore like what happened when it ended and like how things were displaced as it ended and stuff. And I don't know. I think when you kind of boil it down to a guy who killed a lot of people, goes, you know what, killing's not cool. I'm like, okay.
No, it's fine. Because like I mean,
I did a lot of meth. I did a lot of meth, and there was a meth empire, and God, I did so much fucking meth. And you know what I realized? Meth's not cool. It's like, oh, cool, cheers, thank you.
I mean, you say that there was a lot of opium in this film, but they still did opium, and the British did more opium, and that's a whole another question in itself.
I'm just a bit like, oh, well, I'm glad that after you've laid waste to like 300 million people, you've now decided, hey guys, don't do that. Like, fuck you, man. I don't really care. I don't really care what you have to say about this. Like, the body count that you've amassed. I'm just like, I'm sorry. I don't actually need to be preached to by you. Also, like, yeah, I think it's when that bloody woman from the dojo, she's like,
bloody woman.
Don't that bloody woman. She's had her lungs collapsed. She's about to die in 2 minutes, and he's been going on about how much she's not going to kill for like 2 hours and 13 minutes, and then he's like, you know what, actually, she means a lot more to me than just myself and my own personal vow to not kill. And I don't want to do it, but she means more to me than that. So I'm gonna actually like put that aside. I'm gonna put my own personal pride and all that aside to save your life. And she's like, no, don't do that. That's not a very nice thing to do. And I'm like, you bitch.
Yeah.
Like she. I think if he'd have gone, actually, you know what, I'm not going to save you because, I've got actually a lot of personal stuff going on and I killed a lot of people, but I've decided, hey, killing's not cool. So I'm actually going to not do any of that. I'm just going to let you die. I feel like she'd go, you're a bit self-righteous. I feel like she wouldn't be like that happy about that, but because she can actually like get out of it somehow for no reason, she's just like, hey, why are you doing that, buddy? And it's like, excuse me. He couldn't be more selfless in this situation. And you're just shitting on him for it.
Oh, what I would say is that in that context, it wouldn't have been taken that way as like negative. She was trying to remind him of what he really wanted to believe for himself. She was appealing to what he wanted to hear. It wasn't negative words, but it was more positive. She was kind of helping him realize or reminding him your ideals don't have to just ideals. They can still be real. You can still live by them. I'm gonna be okay. Please don't ruin all of it because of what I've done. Please don't be the one time Batman kills because his kid's gonna get killed. Though to be honest, Batman actually lets his kids actually be killed. So that's a whole nother thing. But
that's because he's a real hero.
Well,
no,
well,
got more issues That's his problem.
There's no problem. You just let children die. That's fine.
Oh, mate.
Just get beaten by a crowbar, right? Yeah, fucking hell. Fucking hell.
Yeah, you
Jesus
just
Christ.
you know what? You're not contributing to society.
My goodness.
Yeah, this is a net
What,
positive.
You and your drool.
oh man, what I was thinking of that because of what we mentioned earlier, Superman. I was just like, wait, imagine a time where Superman has a kid. The kid's about to die, so then he kills again. I would like to see that.
Yeah,
He's like, you know what?
that's
That's,
injustice.
Yeah,
Well, I
I
think
was gonna say.
no, Injustice was annoying because it
yeah, but
wasn't
like
just.
but you get what the point is, right? It's essentially it's Superman kills because he wants to save them, but he gets power hungry and angry, and it's like yeah. But like that's a whole conversation in this, right? It's like this could have been Kenshin's injustice moment. It's the whole timeline where he starts killing again and becomes the manslayer again. Where unlike this one, it's like actually, you know what? I don't want to kill anyone, and that's
Yeah, because actually that's a
Like,
good point. Like
I,
like bodies it more, but Batman he says it multiple times. He is basically one step away from becoming uh not Deadshot. Who's a great he's an older guy who's basically on a tactician level of Batman who fights.
Deathstroke or
Yes, okay,
Hush. Oh yeah.
Deathstroke. He basically keeps saying that
it's
he's
not
like
Deadshot. It's Deathstroke.
they for some reason they always get mixed up in my head even though they're very
I
different
gotta
people.
say, I'd rather deal with Deadshot than Deadstroke because like Deadshot, I feel like would just kill me, whereas Deathstroke, I feel like is a bit more sort of. I don't know. I get more of a sensual feeling to that, and I don't like it.
Just call him
Oh,
Slade. Is probably easier. Yeah, it's
I
Slade.
feel like Deathstroke would, you know.
oh man.
So
Well,
Slade Wilson. Okay, go.
whoever you want to think about, the Batman says multiple that if he lets himself cross that line, he's just one step away from basically being like, you know what, just kill them all. Just like I'm just going to kill anyone who's a problem. That's going to be the easiest way to deal with this, and then we will actually have peace. And then he becomes an assassin from Assassin's Creed. But um, but and Kenshin is again in that situation. Obviously, it's not fleshed out, but he is a person on that knife's edge, and if he allows himself just to do it once, he could end up going. You know what? It is better just to kill all the effed up people in the world. You know what? That's what I'm going to do, and then it's going to be a better place. Oh man.
I don't know. I just find it all terribly unnuanced. There, she's like, no, killing is bad in literally every situation. And it's like, I don't know if it was bad in that situation where someone you care for has had their lungs collapsed by someone who's trying to like goad you into being angry for no reason,
Oh,
and they just want you to strike them down, and they're going to torture all your loved ones until you finally like snap and do it. And it's like, I don't know if he was wrong to try and kill him there. I feel like maybe some people are just sort of maniacs, and you kind of just I don't know. I don't know.
No,
Yeah,
you're
I'm
very
not
right.
trying to. Yeah,
You, you're
I'm not
you're
trying to
you're
make a case for or corporal punishment or anything, but it's just kind of like I don't know. I don't know if it's universally bad every single time.
Oh yeah, the I agree with you. I was just saying, like in that context, I think to the audience, it's originally made. I say original. It had an international release and did really well, but I feel for the original audience and like yeah, the Japanese audience, it caters more to them in their sense of certain things and like certain traditional values in certain parts of their history and whatnot. That these he's living an ideal that a lot of them would have loved to kind of would love to exist, but doesn't exist because it's not realistic. But it's appealing to this kind of thing they really like. So they would see it and receive it differently than we would going like, no, he needs to die. It's like it's like the whole thing with the like it's a bit different than the Joker. But at the end of the day, you've got this mass killer who's like, I don't care. I'm just gonna keep killing people until you stop me because this is fun. I love this. Actually, it's very much like the Joker. But then instead of killing the Joker, he incapacitates him, and then he gets arrested. Except this guy actually kills himself because he actually is happy and he had the fight he really wanted before he finally, I guess, goes to the afterlife. But that's a whole different, not trope, but a whole different thing. Like his character.
I think it is.
And like, if you want to talk about tropes, Joker has done that to himself as well. He has like broke his own neck, so you know it's a trope in itself. The crazy guy kills himself is quite a normal trope.
This is probably the most tropey film I've ever seen.
Saying that, it's probably like that because of how old the original source material is, though.
Because it's quite an old mag.
Yeah, because I feel like we've come across this before. I don't know if Rob remembers something, but like certain films we've watched where it's just like there's a lot of like, oh yeah, this is a trope or this is a from the 80s, but then it's just like, wait, when it was happening, it wasn't quite a trope because it was quite new at the time, but we've just seen it so many times since, so it's just like, this again.
I think it's just the amount of times I heard when you become a killer, then you're always a killer, and that sort of thing. Like the amount of times that was repeated, I've heard that a billion times elsewhere, and heard it a billion times just in this 2 hours and 14 minutes.
Fair enough.
I get it. I understand. I'm with you.
No.
You know, tropes aren't bad in of themselves, but yeah, I think I'd say it's like the amount of them. I wonder if that's why I didn't like engage with it that much. Just like I don't know. I feel like I've kind of seen all of this elsewhere. I feel like I know what's going to happen here. And then like they just pulled something out where they go like, "Here's the super serious samurai man." He's like meant to be the foil to Kenshin, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna do this. I'm not like an orthodox cop. I do like weird shit too." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, sure, you do weird shit too." And then they do the thing, and he goes like, and he's like, "I'm gonna make a plan. I'm making a plan to get rid of that bloke's gun." He's like, "Okay, you guys both run that way, and I'm gonna stand in the middle of the room and go."
All right, yeah, they
sail toward the chandelier and knock the chandelier on the bloke's head, and I was like,
"Oh yeah, they removed."
Where did you? Why? When? Where did that come from? No one's been doing any of that.
Yeah, because like that's supposed to be anime power bullshit, but they removed the anime power bullshit, so it looks stupid. So it's kind of like, yeah, that's what happens when you don't have. Yeah, it looks wrong because it's supposed to be like a fighting style, and it's like anime power technique, and he's supposed to like jump through the air, like, and it's supposed to be really cool, and he slices the gun in half. Doesn't do that because obviously that's not technically possible. Technically, but if they did do that, you'd probably go, "That's some anime power bullshit." I would have probably preferred the anime power bullshit version. Technically, it would have been a lot more entertaining.
True. one thing I like to say, and sorry for my comment earlier, um, about Seven Samurai. I do think it's
Oh.
much better.
Oh, hang on, hold on. Is this what I'm going to get angry at?
You might. Just might.
Oh, okay, right. Let's do this now. What am I going to get angry at?
Let me say it. I
Ben,
enjoyed
what did he say?
I enjoyed this film almost as equally as Seven Samurai.
That's perfect.
That was.
And that's the end of the call. Well done, guys.
Okay, well,
Ben, what do you pick?
golf clap, golf clap.
My pick is.
I'm leaving the film club.
That's all it took. What was that?
That's the greatest sound effects, yeah.
But once again, I know Alex not around to hear it. Not that it would matter, but I think Seven Samurai is a phenomenal. Like it is truly a classic. It's probably one of the highest films I would hold in regard. But I enjoy it because obviously how good it is in all the other merits. And I would if was saying was basically how high I hold Seven Samurai in regard in terms of how good it is. Like, this film isn't good in any of those ways. It's more
No, it isn't.
Is purely enjoyment side of things. Where Seven Samurai is truly a classic. I really hold it in high regard. And while we were on the call, I was thinking, what if they approached this film instead of trying to again be true to the manga? What if they approached it like a Seven Samurai type film and took their inspiration from that and made a really proper, like, gets more deep, more developing characters, and to put that type of story, because obviously you had that story of Seven Samurai like after things were after the wars, and you saw what was going on with them. You saw what they was going through, the characters and the horrible stuff. This could just be another story in that kind of world in another place, and you have this guy with his ideals trying to fight, trying to live but also fight against things that if they took more inspiration from Seven Samurai, it could have been so much better of a film in that way. But obviously they took the approach they did. So
I get what you're trying to say, but it would if the director did do it that way, all that would have meant is that everyone who saw it would have been like, "Hey, this is a Seven Samurai clone," and that's like something I don't think he wanted, and he wanted to do his own story his own way, which is fine. I get if essentially, as we've been discussing, to make it a bit less plain, add some substance to this film. If they added some of the more anime bullshit powers, it would have probably been better. It would have like added some more context to the film. It would have had something to, probably thicken it up a little bit. If there was a bit more context.
The anime powers were the bad bit.
like if they added more of that for certain people, it would have been more entertaining. Yes. However, it wouldn't have made it a better film. And that's the key part of it. It's like have something that's enjoyable, but especially a lot of the stuff that's inspired by different manga, anime, and there are some that lend themselves better to live adaptations than others. But if you've got something like this, you if you want to make a truly good film, you have to lean away from the adaptation and more into the inspired by, and taking a lot of things from it, but it in essence it's not that thing. It's just referencing and inspired by that thing to make something that's much more accessible and also a lot of people could find, oh, that's really good. It's like how what the Nolan brothers did to the Dark Knight with Dark Knight, the Batman Begins. They took a different approach, took inspiration from all these other things that people were like familiar with and really liked, and they made something that so many people that don't like vigilante hero films came to watch and actually liked it, did not regret seeing it. And it's that kind of, how do you get that balance? Obviously it's easier said than done. It's really hard. And then you have films like, I think the Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix does really well as well. But obviously I guess we're all fans of the comics and whatnot, but the source material. But I think that also does a good job in taking inspiration, but taking it somewhere else. I don't know. You can tell me.
It's a bit complicated. Yeah, that is a complicated like balance, isn't it? Because you want to have your own original idea, but you don't want it to be over the top, but you don't want it to be too similar to like old stuff that was already classical. But you need to have it like more grounded. So I guess like in its chase for that balance is the reason why it's current, as we say, single noted and plain. Because there's no way you could have added too much for it becoming over the top. And if they took any more away from what they had, it wouldn't be. It would be so streamlined. It would just be watching like, you know, a PowerPoint presentation. And I don't think anyone wants to watch that. But it's like, it's a fine balance. They didn't quite cut right. That's why they have multiple sequels that maybe they can add some context and stuff and like thicken it out a bit more. And afterwards, like, yeah, that's fine. But it's like, yeah, it's hard, It's hard to expect these things to go as they did. But that's the way it is. Maybe they could have, especially if it's for newer audiences that didn't know the source material. Yeah. I keep thinking about it. Yeah, I should have chose Beginnings instead. It's the same. It's the same thing.
It's okay. We have regrets. I have many films like that. I mean, especially one that's the most for me, to be honest, is Art Taxi. I really wish.
that's a whole different conversation though. It's like it's just like bad adaptation, anyways. But it's like, yeah, it's fine. It's how do you explain it? There's films that it's regrets. I guess you could say regrets, but it's like, it's fine. I'm not gonna get angry over it. It's like,
just blowout.
Yeah. You say it was like blowout?
Oh, he's getting the digging.
Oh no! Don't trigger Rob.
I'm trying to. Yeah, there you go. I was trying to get a reaction out of Rob.
It's one more week on Amazon Prime before it's gone. So rewatch it when you can.
Wait,
it's just
it's gone
trying to be
forever?
provocative.
I see why it's going. Yeah.
There's a reason why it's
Yeah,
going, because they're releasing a newer copy of the Criterion, ain't they?
Oh really?
Oh,
Yeah. I tend to every now and again. I think this one's going to be a 4K one.
Oh, I thought
Is
the
it like-
4K one was already out.
Don't know.
is it-
But like I have a site that I go onto like every sort of week or 2 weeks just to see what's dropping, and that's on there to come out in like a month or two.
Oh, right. Oh, I thought it was already out.
One of it's the same website I go to, but like the Goodfellas 4K, Shawshank 4K, what's this name? Oh, Silence of the Lamb Limited Edition 4K. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, that's coming out on Arrow now, man.
Oh, nice. Oh, but like, but yeah, that's okay. So if there's I guess I could watch Blowout if I have the time. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, it's a great film, man. You should definitely watch it.
Oh, would you say it's a great film?
Yeah.
Did you ask if I would say it's a great film?
Oh.
Huh?
Mate, it's a fucking brilliant film. Emmanuel was entirely wrong about it.
Hey now, he did say this was, as enjoyable as Seven Samurai. Could he be wrong about two things? I don't think so.
Oh Christ!
I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed that Seven Samurai got mentioned. I'm annoyed.
I find it quite funny, to be fair.
Would you like the preferred version of Madam Web on 4K Steelbook collection? I just saw that. I just saw the collection. I was like, Christ Almighty! I didn't believe that there would be a Steelbook 4K version of Madam Web, but here we are. In any case,
why did you bring up Madam Web?
No, because I'm just checking out because he's talking about movies and like collector's editions. I'm just seeing.
It's funny that you bring that up because I was reading an article today. What's her name? That's in it. She.
Dakota Johnson.
Yeah, she basically got told off by Russell Crowe because she didn't realise the effect that it was going to have, and he's like, "What did you expect? Did you not read the script?"
She is very unprofessional, to be complete.
Yeah.
It was funny, but I wouldn't hire her.
She's
if
shit anyway.
Yeah, that's another thing. I'm just like, if you think it's shit, that's one thing, but you also didn't help.
Well, that's the thing.
So I now know that you're gonna shit on it. Also, it's like, again, you're not some hotshot amazing talent. You're kind of crap at acting as well, and that's kind of why people are laughing. And
that film.
Oh yeah, I'm a mate.
That film.
Oh yeah, this film is very stupid, and it's like you are in it.
That film suits her.
Part of the reason why it's shit.
That film suits her like Morbius suits fucking Jared Leto.
Oh.
Yeah. They're both terrible actors in terrible films. Leave them to it.
Better than Madam Web. Come on. Madam Web.
They're both the same. I hated them both.
I mean, I haven't seen Madam Web. I'm just dunking on it.
I decided to watch Madam Web the day that Rob.
I wouldn't be that confident. I wouldn't be confident Madam Web's much better than
I watched Madam Web the same day that Rob gave me and Ben tickets to see Dune Part 2. I was glad I watched that first.
On the same day.
Yeah.
There you watch Madam Web. Nah. That's
it meant
went into the cinema.
It meant that going to see Dune, my day wasn't going to get any worse.
You watched the amazing film, then watch something trash.
No, I watched the trash film first.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, in the morning before the premiere.
I'm actually talking about Dune. I think my mum finally watched it on Disney Plus, and she's just so confused, just like, so is this Star Wars? I was like, no, not really, Mum. And it's like, yeah, but they have what was this? The sand dust thing, and it's like the Force, and it's like, yeah, I mean, kind of, but not really. I just rewatch it.
The sand dust thing is the Force.
What's the spice? Thing. Yeah, because she's reading it by she couldn't. The subtitles read it as as it reads like dust, but they mean the spice must flow, and it's like, oh, she's got really fucking confused, and it's like, yeah, it's Star Wars, but not really. That's the best way to explain it. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's the best way to explain it. Star Wars, but not really. Yeah.
Sounds like you just put Spaceballs on.
Do you imagine writing something that just defined a genre?
Yeah, but you got to translate it in
another language. The thing that came out of you defining a genre gets just explained as, it's that thing that came out of you, but less explainable.
It's that thing that came out of you, but it's not your kid.
Yeah, so if you can translate that into I don't know, Russian or German or French instead, I mean, that's fine. If you can do that, I got to do that for Cantonese, so give me a break. In any case,
on a related to that, I did see an article. I haven't read it properly yet, but it kind of confirms something I said predicting or was expecting. The director of Dune said he's not going to adapt. Well, if he gets the chance anyway, he's not gonna. He's not planning to adapt book 3 and onwards, which I was wondering. I was like, I can't. I'm not sure if he would, but then he then showed a future scene in part 2, which is from the third book that I haven't like finished reading. So I'm just like, because long story short, book 3 changes a lot. Like it's kind of like having. Oh, gonna be a big spoiler. I can't say that. Anyway, I won't say something because Star Wars also took a lot, obviously, from this. And if I say what it refers to, that'll be a spoiler. And the point is, it changes quite a bit in the book 3, and it's like, would you want to keep adapting it past that? I don't know. Maybe it's successful enough, but
When did he say this though? After the film come out or before?
I think after.
Oh.
Um,
Maybe he just means he doesn't want to adapt the whole book, but he's going to adapt parts of it. I don't know.
because they are doing like the TV series with the Benny Gesserit. So yeah, maybe there'll be parts of it, but maybe it won't keep going um canon like or going chronologically like it is now.
Yeah.
But anyway, it'll make more sense once the films if he makes 2 more films or whatever, make more sense after that we can talk about it. Unless
I know he's only making one more.
only one more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Condense the second book into one film.
Allegedly. We shall see.
I'm trying to think, can you do that?
Well, he might just do part of it, and then he might be producer for like another part, and have a handpicked director conclude that book.
I mean, if you cut enough out, just like any book, you could do it. Yeah, you probably could do it because to be honest, a lot of that in that book is a lot of the second book is very much like the first book in that that first half of it is a whole bunch of political intrigue, which bores a lot of people. And then the second part of it is where the action ramps up and all comes to a head. So, I guess you could cut a lot of that stuff out or streamline it. You don't really need it if it's for a mass audience,
Yeah.
especially if so many people didn't like part 1 for that reason.
I felt like, Emmanuel, if we streamlined it anymore, it would be this film. But in any case, back to talking about this film. So I feel like we've reached that time we go. Do you guys have any favorite scenes?
I think I have one. I think my favorite scene probably was one of the latest ones. The scene with I forget the characters' names, but the showdown in the kitchen, where they had that brief like pause and that brief intermission in the fight, and then he just takes a bite out of whatever carcass was on the side of the
Yeah, the
table,
roast chicken. Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, I'm a vegetarian. I can't have this." And then they just slugs a bottle of wine.
That's so funny in the dub because he goes like he goes, I can't eat this. So he puts it down and he goes, rest in peace, chicken. And I was like, that's amazing. That's incredible.
Okay.
Howdy, pizza. Yeah,
Incredible.
Okay.
Did you
Yeah,
watch
Yeah,
the
that-
dub, Alec?
Hmm?
Did you watch the dub?
once.
I kept dipping in. I watched the sub first, and I was like, "This is fucking shit." And then I was
Oh,
like, I need something to get me through the second watch. And then I was like, I'm gonna just mix into the sub. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna mix into the dub every now and then, and just kind of see what it sounds like because I felt like it was gonna be shit.
I watched the dub version.
Wow, man, you're both braver than me.
The dub
It
was
was
so bad. Oh,
so shit.
I
It
was
was
saying to Ben
ma-
yesterday that there was points where I was just really focusing in on the characters' mouths, and I was like, "This is so badly out of sync." Like, and this is where probably dubs on live action stuff doesn't really work.
Yeah.
Where they cannot, like, so I'm just gonna go back to Dragon Ball. Like the dub for Dragon Ball is fantastic, but you can get away with it on anime because of the way the mouths move. But with actual actors, it's very difficult to sort of, if they're speaking in Japanese, having some bloke from Texas playing the it's very off putting.
Yeah, I can't abide it, man.
Yeah, that's the point actually, because it's kind of like, well, it works with a lot of animes. You can do the dubs, and it works fine. For something like when we saw Akira, because that was like animated to like 24 frames per second. It was just like live action. So dubbing Akira is probably it's 10 times more harder because it is like dubbing a live action movie because there's so much more detail in every frame that you see. Whereas something that's made for TV like Dragon Ball or any of the animes like Ghost in the Shell or something, their frame rate is far less, so you can kind of get away with it because there's not as much like phonetic movement in the mouth as there would be in something in live action.
And I would say
That's the thing, like, don't. But it wasn't just bad because things weren't matching up. It like the lines were terrible. Like because you still get the subtitle. You still have it so like you're getting like the Japanese subtitle with like the English like dub, and so you can like directly compare and go like, oh, that's what that one's saying. That's what that one has interpreted it. And it's just like, fuck me, this is terrible. Like it, I'm not surprised Pat came away. That was shit.
Simon, what man?
I know I was gonna say because like with more modern animes, you can also just edit on top of it because of like they have better technology to do what I can't even remember what the fucking I don't even remember the name of the technique. So essentially they re-edit the mouths if they needed to make the lip flaps more like in sync anyway, so they could just clean that up in editing because they have better technology nowadays. You can't do that with the older animes because it would look very like jarring because the cleanup on it is very off. But with the newer animes, it's easier because the technology is the same. So yeah, that's what I was saying. I can't remember what they called the technique for the editing, but I know there is a word for it. I was gonna say rotoscoping. Rotoscoping.
It's editing.
No, rotoscope. That's it.
What's the matter?
They can rotoscope it.
I was just imagining when it says rest in peace. Imagine if it was dubbed in Italian. It's just Assassin's Creed kind of Riscase in pace. I can't say it, obviously.
Oh, okay.
It's basically for anyone who doesn't know, in the Italian Assassin's Creed, he says rest in peace every time almost every time he kills someone, like an important figure. But I was just like imagining that for the chicken. I was like, oh, that would be great.
I was wondering what you were saying there first.
Chicken.
It would have added to the comedy even more. It's like, anyway, I'm trying to think of my own favorite scene. I did like a lot of Sorry, you can go to someone else first. I'm still trying to think.
I think my favourite scene was every scene that didn't have the mob boss in it, because I didn't have to hear the shitey soundtrack. That one, the mob boss soundtrack was like, it was pissing me off every time he came on. And I was like, oh god, I really dislike this bit of music you made for this. It doesn't. I had a lot of trouble with the music actually. It's the first time where I've kind of, a lot of the time music just kind of flies under the radar with me. I only really notice it when it's really good or it's really shit. Like Interstellar, didn't like it, but I noticed when the music was good, and I went, yeah, that music's pretty good. Hate it, but the music's good. Whereas this, I was like, the music's really bad. It's really bad. Doesn't actually fit like a lot of the scenes that it's in. Like it takes a lot for me to go like, that's a bad music. But this one really made me aware. Like this music does not fit what we're doing. I was like, I can't even mimic it because I actually don't want to mimic it. But like, it never fit. Well, they had like 3 different themes for characters, and I was like, I actually hate all of these. These are just winding me up. But like, yeah. I can't give you commentary on music, but like it just irritated me. Sorry, but
I was gonna say like, yeah, I think the music was well done, but I did think at times it was a bit. It didn't suit the scenes it was for. Like it had this like waltz number for the villain, which was interesting, but the tone of it was quite jarring for the rest of the score for it. And it was interesting. It's like, oh, here he comes. Here comes the villain. The waltz theme from him, which is an interesting choice. I think it works, but I don't think it worked in this instance. Like I kind of noticed it not in a good way. Like I enjoy this, but I noticed it, and it's like, this is a choice. I didn't hate it. It's
I don't know
interesting.
if I'd call it common, but that does seem to be a bit of a thing with like
The
East
villain.
Asian stuff, because like there's
Oh,
so
right.
many things I can think of that have like a sort of almost like a fairgroundy theme for its villains. And
Yeah, that's a fair shout.
fairgroundy's the really good word for this.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think it's like common enough to call it a trope, but it's definitely something that's like established
It's been
over
done
there. I'm
before.
not really too sure why, but yeah, you do see it.
I think it's more of it's almost like like pushing up the comedy part of this villain. Like you aren't meant to take him seriously. You're meant to think he's annoying, creepy, and you want him out of the picture.
Is it
And
weird to say that it would make him feel a bit more quote unquote camp? And kind of like, as you say, fairgroundy, would it make him feel a bit more P.T. Barnum-ish? Because it's kind of like, I'm the main character in this fairground because I'm the main campy villain.
Can I just ask, what was the deal with his teeth? Is that what was happening there?
What, you mean the guy with the big underbite?
Yeah, the bad guy.
Yeah, but that's kind of the point. He had this because he's supposed to have like a weird underbite because he smokes so much. He does the opium himself, and he's a bit fucked up. Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't anything I was going to take a point off for, but I was like, what is the deal? Like, you keep really drawing attention to this, and that was winding me up as well. I was like, this guy's got to actually act around like these big fake teeth that just are distracting.
I just kept thinking of Frank.
Frank's got lovely teeth.
But like character design wise, they look similar enough to the actual characters from the manga. So
I assumed it was a manga. I assumed it was from like the anime.
Yeah, it character design wise, like generally speaking, is like when you see him in the red kimono, it like that's his like manga correct fit, and I was like, yeah, I like that because it's like, oh yeah, it's got the character design on point. But apart from that, yeah.
It was just one of those things where I was like, are you doing this for me, or are you doing this for the anime?
For the anime.
Where, yeah, that's the thing. It was like, I'm here to emulate the anime. And it's like, okay, well, generally, like, a measure is just kind of like, does this mean anything to, like, a non-fan watching? And it's like, doesn't actually, it's like, no. And it's like, okay, so this guy's got a hairstyle like my Auntie Kay, and he's got a big fucking underbite. And I'm like, okay. So what are you telling me about him? And it's like, I didn't get the opium connection, to be completely fair.
Oh yeah, because he does the spider web drug a lot himself, because before he says, before he becomes like a kingdom of, I can't remember his name, kingdom of Mr. Underbite, and like, you got that weird, like, all the bells ringing at the same time, and it's very campy, and it's like, oh right, because the character himself is a bit campy, and it's like, it makes sense in that sort of regard, because it's a bit flamboyant and weird and stuff, and it's like, yeah, again, because his character design is designed to be that way, so it's like, yeah, makes sense. But again, manga, if you know about it, that if you don't know about it, you just see him and go, he's got a weird underbite. But yeah. So it's one of those.
I just wonder what it was for. Like, what are you telling me about this guy? And it's like, yeah. So now you mentioned the opium thing. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But
yeah. Oh, my phone was doing this. It's been doing that stuff again. Thumbs up. Anyway, no, it did a thumbs down when my hand was resting like this, and it did a thumbs up earlier. Anyway,
does that work automatically? Wait a second. I know it's blurred here, so it looks like an inappropriate way.
Only if you have it. What you call it?
Where's? Oh wow, it's on mobile. Yeah, he's got fireworks. That's awesome.
Yeah, if you have it activated on the iPhone, it does that apparently. But anyway, I think my favorite scene actually is when Karu says like welcome home,
Dojo idiot, yes.
And then he says Tadaima, which is very important. Very, very important. But that moment did like make me feel, because until this moment he was a Ronin with no place to call home, which they reference to, not reference to, they did say different times, and someone pointed it out even more so, that you have nowhere to go home to or call home. And then she's just like, we are your home, we are your family, like this is your base now. It's okay, you don't have to be a wanderer. Yeah, you can still go around and stuff, of course, but you can always come back here. This is your place. This is like our hearts, everything is connected. It's just like, and you see her tears welling up, and it's just like, yes, I like this. I don't know if it's really cheesy. It's probably really cheesy, but I like it.
Oh, Rob?
Do you know what? Because of what I was saying earlier, I'm kind of like struggling to pick out a scene. It's all passed through me.
I mean, just
what were you saying earlier?
Just say something that's memorable, at least.
Well, that's the problem that I'm having now. What I was
It's
saying
remembering
earlier,
the film.
Huh?
The problem you're having is remembering the film?
Yeah, more or less. But yeah, what I was saying earlier is that like it felt to me as if you kind of like it started where it ended, and there was a lot of between, but there wasn't anything in between. And I'm kind of struggling to pick out like any moments, because Yeah, I don't know. Like it just.
Do you like the bit where they pointed out that murder was bad?
As I say, I'm struggling to pinpoint one.
Oh, one
think
at
murder's
least
good.
one of those told me what the film was about. And I think that's that's at least one time where the film was effective because I was gonna murder, but then I saw this film and I went, you know what? Maybe not. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll leave it. I'm not being serious, by the way. I wasn't gonna
Murder all you want. There's no one's stopping you.
Oh shit! No, Simon. All right.
Oh
Jeez.
man,
Sorry. I need to add in Minecraft.
Oh yeah. Phew. Glad we sorted that out.
Sorry, I'm just tired.
All right. So, okay. Guess everyone else is right. So, perfect scene to show his, as I said, his sort of weird little ADHDness is when he's actually in the prison cell and it's like raining on him, and he's got the bowl, and he's just like trying to catch the raindrops in the bowl, but he's like, oh wait, if I catch it from this side, that side's going to have the raindrops. So if I move it to this side, that side's going to have raindrops. So I don't know how to catch all the raindrops into the bowl. I know, I just use my leg. So it hits my leg, and I can put it on this side, and it drops onto my leg into the bowl. Yeah, that's how my ADHDness just like fits it perfectly. Just suits his character again. It's so stupid, but it's just like, oh yeah, it makes sense because it's got the weird like ADHD brain, and it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense for him. And just like, did you need to? It's just like it's just drops of rain. It's like, yeah, but I just needed to fit into the bowl, and it's just like, yeah, okay, sure, well, or if you need to, yeah, right.
Would probably do the same thing. I mean, yes, I would probably do it, but it's to do. That's so, be bored out their mind. But yeah, I agree with you, Simon.
It's just something. It's just the way that his character is suited, and it makes sense for for his character. And it's like, yeah, it's just something about it. It's a smaller moment, but it makes sense. And it's like, yeah, absolutely, it's him.
No, I'm wondering.
You got, is it Pat and Alec left, or did?
Or like any other like favorite scenes, or just like any.
I can't really think of too many. But the scene where all those dickheads attack the dojo early on in the film, and the main character sort of fights them all off, and then the police turn up. I quite liked how it was choreographed in that, but I think it was done better in that scene than it was in the rest of the film. But that scene also pointed out how uninteresting the main characters were. Like, I don't really want to put down the writing that much, because I think if you put it in an anime setting, it's probably going to be a lot better. I just don't think it worked in the format that it was in.
Yeah.
But that scene was probably the most memorable one, because like for the rest of it, I was like, I'm pretty bored. Or if I was in certain scenes where I'm bored, I'm watching the characters' lips to see how bad out of sync the dub is.
And like in the manga and anime, there's a scene where they bring out a wooden cannon and he slices it in half. So it's like it's probably more entertaining.
I'll try. I might give the anime a go, but then again, I've got a list of like 100 animes to watch, so I don't know if I will get around to it.
It's alright.
Especially since I've got this list, and all I've been watching is Dragon Ball, which I've seen many times.
that's a you thing though. You got. There's more than just Dragon Ball, all right?
I know. I've got to teach myself that, but I've got a copy of my Dragon Ball over on the table over there.
Oh man.
I know. I'm actually glad you're watching like original Dragon Ball as well. See how weird and fucking crazy it was before it becomes the.
Oh man, it's to be honest, it's not really that acceptable. Like, for like half the episodes, fucking Goku's dick's out.
Yeah, but that's kind of the punchline at the time. Like in the East, like in the 80s, I think that's Goku goes, "What's the joke? Oh, his dick's out. All right, that's funny." Yeah, but like it's just like but it's just like it's of its time, and like of its time, it's a dick jokes. Okay, cool. All right. So, any closing thoughts apart from it's basic?
Hang on, I didn't get to my favorites.
Yeah,
Did you say your favorite scene was it's about the killing or not killing?
No.
Oh, you're joking. Oh, sorry. Go. What's your favorite scene?
I hated all the scenes about people going on about killing's bad. They were all shit. I hated them.
It's not the bird.
My favorite scene. No, I ain't got a favorite scene.
Cool.
I feel like your favorite scene. Actually, no, that was Ben's favorite scene. You did with the rest in peace, though.
You know what? Actually, I appreciated how like the villain tried to go about these cleverly. He was trying to work out like a dock to sort out like his opium transportation. And so he was trying to make everyone else sick, and so he was like putting rat poison in the water supply, and it was like, you know what? That's like a clever way to go about that. That's all right. I ain't mad about that. That's okay.
Actually,
like he made a lot of logical. The villain made a lot of logical decisions, and like right down to I'm gonna have the samurai sort of do stuff. I'm gonna hire a bunch of displaced samurai, and that's gonna look like a charitable case for me, while also I have like hired swords like, on hand. Like I thought that was quite clever. I do want to say I gave points for a lot of setups and things like that. Sorry, I don't actually want to make clear actually. The scoring system I'm using now, this actually did like very very well on positives. Like it's set up like an awful lot of stuff. It was just it really really shit itself in the action and everything, and so literally I think I gave it like 82.5. Like it wound up with 102.5 or something at the end of the positives, and then at the end of the negatives it was back at 50. Like there was just so many like lapses of just anything like logic. Like it was really really winding me up. But I've only done this with a couple of films so far. So, yeah, I was curious about how this was gonna shake out, but yeah, there are many. Good night, Nan. Yeah, many instances of just kind of like things where I'm like, that's good. That'd be neat in another film. Like that'd be really like effective and stuff. But you've now put it in this thing where I have a bloke where he's going, I don't kill anyone, and I've got a blade where I can't kill anyone with it because it's only got a blade on one side. And I'm like, if you've got a sword which has a blade on one side, that means that you can kill someone with it. And you demonstrated that by being in a position where you can kill someone with your blade. So maybe if you didn't want to kill someone with your blade, it shouldn't have a blade on it. But you instead of having a stick, you decided to put a blade on it, but on the back of it. So you can still kill someone with it. And I was like, what? This is just stupid, just out of it, like out of the gate. Like why are you? If you don't want to kill anyone, there's like a billion different weapons you can have, but instead you've got a sword where it's only got a blade on the back end, which is a tactical disadvantage for you. But it's also like you're not even doing the thing that you're trying to say it does. And everyone goes, "Oh, you'll never kill someone with that blade." And like he has this conversation with like about 4 different people, and they're like, "Can you kill me with that?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "Yeah, you can. It's got a blade on the back of it. He's not going to kill you in like the conventional sense, but he can still like turn it around and kill you with it because there's a blade on the back." Yeah. So I don't know why you're doing this pacifism thing where you're going like, "Oh no, I can't possibly kill you with this thing with a blade on it." Like, what are you talking about? Why is this such a thing? Why do you keep bringing it up? He brags about it. He keeps bringing it up, and he's like, "Hey, my sword can't kill anyone." And I'm like, "Yes, it can. You nearly killed someone with it. What are you? Why? Why is this such a thing that you keep bringing it up?"
I've now got an image of you watching it and arguing with the character.
I would argue with him.
So, explained in the manga.
Every time he says it, he's just like, "Hey, now I've got a sword that can't kill," and I'm like, "Yes, you do. You nearly killed someone with it. That was the point. You had to have Dojo Girl talk you out of it, because you can kill someone with it because there's a blade on it. If you didn't want to kill anyone with it, you could just be carrying a stick around. But at the same time, you can still kill someone with a stick. So when you're doing all this crap where like you can't get hit with shit, and there's like, and then you smack 2 kendo swords around someone's head, and I'm like, you're killing someone with blunt force trauma. You're not killing someone with a blade, but you are still killing them. You are still depositing enough force to like smash a skull in. So like you're not. I don't know where you think you're not killing someone because you're just hitting them with like a blunt thing. So like that's not how that works. Like you can kill someone by punching them once. Like that's not. If you want to not kill someone, don't get into these fights. But he's just like, "Oh yeah, I've still got a blade. I'm still carrying a sword with a blade on it. It's not on the conventional bit of the blade, but I am still carrying a sword with a blade."
This is where it doesn't work as a live action film, because I think it'd make a lot more sense as an anime.
It doesn't work as a concept, like at all. I don't understand why anyone thinks this is like a thing. Like, other than the surface level where someone's going, "Oh," you have characters say he can't possibly kill with that sword, and it's like, no, he can. If you have a blade, you can kill with someone. If you don't have a blade, you can kill with someone. Have you heard of a hammer? Have you heard of
Batman level of not killing? It's the Batman level of not killing. He maims a lot of people. He doesn't kill them technically, but like
he kills a lot of people technically.
I mean, Batman kills a lot of people technically, but like it's kind of like it's the question of like he says it's not killing, but it's the same sort of Batman level of I don't really kill people. But Batman, you shoot people with cannons. That's like it's the same sort of level.
I would actually love it if we could have a talk about morality about killing without invoking Batman. That'd be so nice.
That would be nice. Not gonna happen. So, in any case,
it's not going to happen.
Wonderful.
Not going to happen. No, not going to happen. So, in any second thing is, again, manga-wise, unfortunately, explained in the manga, he doesn't use his. Essentially, it's the way that it's translated. It's like not to kill people, but he cuts other things. Which is, I know it sounds a bit odd, right? It's like when he cuts the cannon in half, he can slice that in half because it's not a person, it's just an object. Or when he slices the other guy's shittily made swords into pieces because they're not actually people; they're just like equipment that they have, and he could cut that, no problem. But it's a question of like, yeah, it's not killing people, but it's killing objects, and like people aren't objects again, and it's like
he's smacking his sword over people's heads. Like these are henchmen, but they are still people. So the fact that he's going, I will never kill again, and then he's jumping at henchmen and going bang, and he's like smacking like his bladeless sword over people's heads, and I'm like, you're still doing blunt force trauma, dude.
yeah.
Like
But they don't
you are still killing people.
Yeah.
With this, if you don't have a blade on the front of your sword and you're still smacking them over the head with it, and their skull is still caving in from the force of it, like you're not doing anything appreciably different. Like I don't know why you have this big hang up. Like I've never killed a man. I'll never kill a man again. And I'm like, you're still fucking smacking them with a sword over their head. Like why am I hearing about this so much? Why are you preaching at me about why murder is never justifiable? Why are you going on about how your sword can never kill anyone ever, and you're still hitting people as hard as you would, but you're just going like, it's not a sharp edge on you. And I'm like, if you hit someone with a fucking hammer, if you hit someone with a stick hard enough, like you're still gonna kill them. Like if you punch someone too hard, you can definitely kill someone. Like, why are you preaching at me about this when you're not doing anything different? You're still hitting people as hard as you possibly can with a bit of metal. It's gonna kill people.
It's gonna go back to Batman again. I don't want to do it.
Fuck me.
Okay, I don't want to be that guy. It's gonna go back in circles. But it's a question of like, if it does maim them or heavily injure them, and if they die,
I'm not talking about maiming someone.
But if they die later, it doesn't matter because it's not in front of like the viewer or in front of him, so it doesn't really count. You get what I mean? It's kind of like it's one of those catch-22s.
It doesn't count if you maim them.
Yeah, it doesn't count if you maim them.
What are you talking about?
It doesn't count if you maim. It's main character logic. It's always been the same. It doesn't matter if it's main. It's kind of like watching all those people who did fucking like.
Doesn't count if you maim them.
Yeah, if it happens off screen, it didn't happen. You know, that's the main character problem. It's always been the main character.
That's ridiculous.
It's always yes, it is. You know that it's true. It happens to main characters all the time. It happens from like, especially like Japanese based like media. If it's like Power Rangers, you don't really see the destruction of the city, but you know that many people probably died from fighting the monster of the week. But you don't see that. But it's just like a thing that happens. You just don't talk about it. If it's out of mind, it's out of sight. If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. And if it's out of mind, it didn't happen. So yes, you know, it's all the same. It's the same shit that happens all the time. If you really want to talk about people dying and suffering and painful.
This is a very concerning view.
If you really want to talk about pain and like suffering and people dying and shit, let's wait a couple of like rounds when I do my actual bad or edgy choice.
I don't have to. You picked one where the guy is going on about killing people, and then he's using maximum force with a stick.
Oh man, that's.
Did you not realise Alec is a pacifist?
Oh man. Right.
I'm okay. I'm okay with characters who kill people because they're trying to kill them. I'm so fine with that. It's just when I'm hearing people go on when it is like the core of the character where he's like, I will never kill again. I'm not killing anyone. I've killed so many people. I realized murder's not cool. Okay. I did all this and that and this and that, and I'm not killing anyone. Murder's bad, murder's bad, murder's bad, murder's bad. And then he's still going into fights and he is just using maximum force. But he's like, didn't have a blade on it. No blade on this one. Oh, I'm fine. Because you can only kill people with a blade. And I'm almost like, you're a fucking idiot. I don't know what to say. Like, you you're stupid if you think you can't kill someone with a stick. Like that's how we started killing people. We had a stick.
I don't think it's using like real life logic on it. Like,
Oh, alright.
Like films like this go by its own rules. Like, I think if you were to use real life
they're
logic
doing
on
the
it, then
thing
it
where
makes sense.
the
Like, what
anime saying it, so then you go, okay, fine.
Yeah,
It's-
pretty much.
It goes by its own set of rules.
No.
On two different things I wanted to ask. First, the rat poison, because you did remind me about that. Did that happen in the manga?
Yeah, essentially, they found a way to poison. But he essentially, I don't know if it's actually rat poison or it could have been some of the opium itself that was.
But do we know?
Wells.
Do we know if the rat poison could have actually killed them? Because like we're in an anime, so like it might not be lethal. Like it could just be like just a minor inconvenience to people. We don't know. We don't know.
So it really depends if it's like
We're just going by rules.
I mean, like,
by
it could
different
just be
rules
other
of
version
anime.
of Batman, essentially.
Oh yeah, it could just be Batman. And
it could be Zack Snyder's version of Batman, and that
Batman just means that all the
it'll
rules
be to describe that we're talking about Batman already before in this call. But in any case, yes,
we could just invoke Batman, and then it's all sorted.
The doctor was describing it as poison. The person who made the opium.
So
okay.
It could be Batman. It could be Batman. Maybe it's Batman.
Yeah, it could be.
The reason why I asked that is because it actually made me think of like I don't know if when the original manga artist or the person directing it made it with in mind, but it reminded me of like real life events where you had some corrupt corporate person in Japan who did something and polluted the waters nearby, which then resulted in a lot of death of the people in the town and villages. And there's like even one till this day that they're still trying to get compensation for. So it's just like this reminds me of real life events in Japan where they weren't purposely poisoning the people, but they also purposely weren't trying not to poison them. And the neglect was so bad, literally whole small villages were no longer functional. It just made me think of that, and I just wondered, hey, I wonder if when the character was doing that, were they inspired by like real life events basically happening
That
they
stuff
got?
is mad, because the worst thing about that stuff is that the people getting compensation for it are businesses who've suffered reputational damage, and it's like that is not the worst thing about this.
Yeah. So yeah, made me think about that, and maybe another time. But I was gonna ask about how does your point system work, for your other films, like the ones you did before. I was just curious, but otherwise, that's all I had to say.
Oh, I'm going by. I need to find the document I started this off. I guess it's I'm still keeping the convenience and contrivance.
Hmm.
So it's a 0.5 for a convenience and it's a 1 for a contrivance. But I'm also I'm also giving points for like establishing things, like setting things up and paying them off. So you get a 0.5 for setting something up, and you get a 1 for paying it off. So yeah, like there was a lot of things in Maverick where like what can I use as an example?
I don't know, different things he might say and set up that eventually paid off later.
Yeah. So I think I gave like a 0.5 for sort of like for Jodie Foster using her like sexuality as a weapon, like where she's kind of using the I have a husband thing to be something she can use to sort of like escalate interactions with people. So like I was giving it like a 0.5 because like it's something that's like clever where she's going like I have a husband, but I'm also going to snog you, and it's just like it's a clever thing where you go oh, and you can see how that works because like you know if a married woman is snogging you, you're like oh okay, you're probably going to be more invested just like off the bat because like a married woman's interested in you, like that kind of thing, and then if you couple that with she actually thinks Maverick's gonna die, that I'd give like the one where it's sort of like she actually means it. Like she's very used to manipulating people like very effectively, but she actually thinks he's gonna die. So you have the thing of she's gonna steal something, but it's not gonna be something of necessarily like a lot of worth. She's gonna be stealing something as like a keepsake. And it's just gonna be like a cufflink. It's not even like a pair of cufflinks. It's not something she can sell. It's something she can take away and use to remember you. Like that's sort of like the difference between you're setting it up. That's a 0.5. You're paying it off. That's a 1. If that makes sense. So
Yeah.
this got plenty of 0.5s where it was setting stuff up, and it got like a fair amount of 1s as well because like it's things like it's things like Kenshin having the past he does, and he takes like you know he's sympathetic to Dojo Girl's philosophy, as shit as it is. He's like, yeah, you know what? I like the idea of a sword that gives life. That kind of thing is, you know, it's possibly not like a similar thing, but you know, I like the idea that he's kind of like, I don't know how much sense it makes, but I like the idea.
Yeah, it's like a mini payoff.
Yeah, and
Like,
you get the point. It just kind of explains why the characters like get on with each other. Where it's sort of like the 0.5 is you have the mythology surrounding Batasai, and then the payoff is that he you know he gets on believably with Dojo Gun. Where I'm like, I believe these two have a connection. Yeah, it's stuff like that. Like I found the idea that he gets on with her like easier than a lot of things where they go like I have a protagonist and I have a female love interest and I need them to be together now, and they're together now. Like this was something I just want to say I don't think this film is like complete irredeemable shit. Like it had like you know there are reasons for these characters to like each other and stuff like that, and there were instances of characters acting logically. It's it's all mainly in when they kind of like go into the animation where there's kind of like there's like a tight time limit on things, and it's going like your girlfriend's gonna die in 2 minutes if you don't kill me or if she doesn't break out of it in a minute, and then like you have people put like you have these characters just kind of like posturing and they're doing like I'm gonna do my pure draw strike move, and like they're kind of standing around and they're just kind of posing, and I'm like you're wasting time. There's stuff happening and you're just wasting the time that you have by going oh oh yeah, and like then I'm just like how many seconds are you wasting doing this shite? Like someone's life's on the line. Like what are you doing? What are you doing? They get into like a big speech about how killing's bad and they're not going to do anything and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, she died like 30 seconds ago. I'm like, what? I was told there was a time limit here. Like, I realize we have a problem with time limits actually like corresponding in real time, but I'm just like, it really demolishes the tension for me when I get given a time limit that's just arbitrary, and then like it's not acknowledged, and
like
characters are just sort of poncing around doing like whatever they want, and like the you know I realize it's anime stuff. I was like, you could accomplish all of these without the anime stuff, like because even like just small stuff. With like Batosai is like a really good fighter. He can fight off like 1 billion people because he's just that good. And you have a scene where he's fighting a bunch of people, and you keep showing me shots of like there being people behind him who could like easily stab him, but they just go, meh. I'm gonna do this and get chucked, and it's like what you could just show him to be a competent fighter, and you've included all these shots of him just not accounting for these people who are behind him, who could just kill him. And I'm like, I get what you want me to understand about him, but you're not showing it. You're not communicating that to me when you show him surrounded by 5 people and he's not looking at one of them, or it is only just one of them. It only takes one person to stab him in the back, and he's not accounting for them, and then they just kind of have to stand around until he's done doing his fight scene. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What were you saying, Rob?
Well, I wonder if that's. I wonder if that's going back to what. Well, a couple of times I think Pat and Simon have said tonight about like sort of the whole thing with like live action adaptations and that kind of thing. Like, because I guess like the thing with adapting anime to live action is it sort of becomes more literal in the way that you perceive it. And yeah, I don't know. I wonder if that's kind of one of those things that gets lost in translation, is that it's not completely literal.
Yeah, cool. Since it's late, time flagging. Is there anyone else want to say anything before? Then I will say, Mighty Ben, Mighty Keyboard.
Oh no, hang on.
Huh?
The film's boring on one note and it's a load of shit and I hate it.
Oh,
Now you can continue. It's not. You know what? If I was using the old system, yeah, I'm using this new system where it gained 82.5 points and then it lost 82.5 points and it wound up back at 50. And you know what? It's not that bad. It's by far not the worst film we've ever done, but that is still very fucking impressive that it went. I've done all these setups and I destroyed all of them. And I wound up basically at square again. And I was like, you know what? You dealt with some very interesting themes. You introduced some characters. You had some logical movements there, and you set some stuff up. Sadly, you shit yourself everywhere with the actions. And the character stuff and the world building stuff, and so sadly you didn't actually get anywhere with that. But like you did definitely try. Like this is not the worst film we've ever had. This had an awful lot going for it, and if it had resisted the urge to go into fucking anime shite, then like it would have done just fine. But it didn't. It sort of sucks. But I don't think I do think badly of this film. I don't think as badly of this film as a lot of other films. So, yeah, that's what I want to say about it. That's my little song.
In other words, it's good.
It's shit, Ben. It's shit. Fuck you.
Can't help but think the anime is far better than this.
The anime
far more
probably is.
enjoyable.
I haven't seen the anime. I'm willing to bet it's probably better because of the fact that it's got like more episodes and it's got less foam plasticine swords that people are swinging around like they're anything.
It's also more designed to be a bit more crazy, and I think like a live action sort of setting just doesn't work.
I think that's something else. You need to kind of balance it with what what they expect. If you're having someone who's swinging around a big fucking sword.
Actually,
like
there's one thing talking about swords.
You need to make it not look like foam.
There was one scene I sort of looked up when I saw this person with a big fuck off sword, and I was like, "Have I just turned on Final Fantasy?"
Do you know what? I didn't actually notice like how foamy the swords looked, and then Alex said it in the week, and I went back to I sort of skipped through to have a look, and I was like, oh shit.
Isn't that one where they go down to the garden with all the samurai and he like swings it around and he goes, "Yeah, who wants some?" And I was like, I can see it doing this, and I'm like, it's not. It's not a bit of metal. You're trying to tell me it's a bit of metal, but it is still doing that. Like when you. It just looks rubbery to me. Like yeah. Just it looks shit.
It completely passed me by, man. But like, it's one of those things. Like once you see it, it's just there.
Yeah.
Rob, nice
because
top final.
Already the size of the sword is like
it's...
you couldn't reasonably swing it anyway. Like it's it's stupid. It's a stupid thing for someone to make it like their main combat weapon. Like, I'm just gonna swing this big thing around that's like about the size of like just me or like anyone really. Like just the idea that this like experienced street fighter is swinging it about. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, part of the point.
Yeah, the back-bladed sword is tactically shit, but that's actually that's just tactically retarded. Like there's no logic to that one. Like you actually couldn't swing the ball.
I mean, he does leave it behind, but anyway, for a reason.
Oh, that bit in the fight, the big fight with the samurai, where he like chucks it at 3 people and they all go, and they all hold it, and then he's like, he does a big boot on them, and I'm like, why did any of you hold it? Like, why did any of you hold it? But also, why was that why did your plan hinge on them all just catching it and holding it? Like, you're all fucking idiots. Like, when you're all idiots in a fight, I lose interest in the fight because no one's being tactical or anything. Like, it's stupid.
Our own secret Clark Kent. What is your pick?
Sorry, I've clearly taken him down. I've clearly taken him down to his lowest thermometer level. Yeah, go on, Ben.
Clark.
Oh. So, ever hear of Planet of the Apes?
And another thing. I just want to say.
So I'm picking the all-new multi-million-dollar musical where Troy McClure is playing the human.
Nice.
It is the original 1968 Planet of the Apes.
Wait, is the original a musical?
Oh yes, all swinging, all dancing.
You need to watch more Simpsons, Pat.
Please don't tell me it's actually a musical.
Oh,
it's a musical, Pat.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck's sake.
It's a proper Broadway bonanza.
There's at least 7
I
giants.
can't help but feel like you're fucking taking the piss.
Dr. Zaius, Dr.
Yeah, we're
Zaius,
all gonna go to SeaWorld afterwards. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
Dr. Zaius,
yeah.
Dr. Zaius. There's so many. There's so many. Good.
Yeah, hey, every ape I see, from chimpanzee to chimpanzee.
Okay, I know you're taking the piss now.
Oh, it's an actual song. I hate every ape I see, from chimpanzee to chimpanzee. It's perfect.
Don't believe you.
No, Pat. Pat, I sang it for you. I don't know what else you want.
1 of 10. 0.5.
That would be true.
If Planet of Emmanuel, if you start next, I'm not going to be here, but if you start next call going, I enjoyed Planet of the Apes about the same as Seven Samurai. I'm gonna come to your house. I'm gonna be under your bed. I'm gonna strangle you. You can't be doing this. It's gonna be. It's just offensive. You can't be doing it.
I enjoy Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I
You can't-
enjoy Bill.
You can't have Samurai. You can't have Seven Samurai, Rurouni Kenshin, and Planet of the Apes on the same pedestal. I can't have it. It's not happening.
They're pedestals. They just have similar enjoyment for different reasons.
Oh, stop it!
Well, on that note,
Yeah. Planet of the Apes is available on Disney Plus to rent on Amazon Prime and Apple TV.
And Disney Plus,
Yes,
where it's free.
indeed.
Don't go to Apple TV. I hate every ape I see, from chimpanzee to Apple TV.
Well, I've just googled it, and the only thing that's come up is something to do with The Simpsons.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Why did you have to go to Google like a pussy?
Because I couldn't get a straight answer.
Why did you have to look it up like some kind of pussy?
Here.
Some kind of ape.
interesting.
You
Well, class.
could have had such fun.
This shows I've never seen the original.
You guys are going to have so much fun with Heston
neither.
Blumenthal's big yellow teeth. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it would be a good one to. How much people
can
enjoy
tell.
it as much as
Are you
me,
going for a walk?
I think it would be one that will have a lot to
You
talk
go for a
about.
walk?
Oh, we will definitely talk about it.
Indeed. Whether it's better than Seven Samurai, that remains to be seen. It's better than Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I'll say that.
I mean, it's probably better than Blowout, so it's okay.
Oh,
You know what? You know what
I'm
film it is?
getting offended on Rob's behalf.
It's fucking a damn sight better than Rurouni Kenshin. I'm telling you, Rurouni Kenshin's a load of shit.
All right, Rob. It's just I think you had brought it back up the other week. It just keeps coming in my head.
It's been blowing out of proportion.
Oh dear.
I gotta say, a Blowout was not my favorite, but it was alright. Yeah, I don't think it deserved the victory all it got.
God,
Don't worry, Rob, I got you back.
It's still getting it weekly.
Weak.
Yeah, it's like Interstellar or like The Fall or Antichrist. It always gets brought up.
Excuse me. Those three all deserve the amount of shit they got.
Hey, let's not put Blowout and Interstellar with those other two, please.
Excuse me, Antichrist is the one that's okay.
Antichrist
Yeah,
can fucking die in a hill somewhere.
The other one deserves a come on.
Oh, man.
Antichrist should never have been made.
I wouldn't even go to bat for that film. It's messed up. It's just messed up.
Yeah.
You picked it. You picked it.
But he did tell us why he picked it.
Yeah.
And I think he enjoys my reaction to it, so
I mean, I didn't want it to make you actually sick. Like, I did. would do that. It went too.
I am glad you picked it, because now I don't have to ever watch it again. So.
And Antichrist is better than Interstellar.
What?
Yeah.
Oh man. You should totally go into comedy, mate.
I can hear Ben furiously typing.
Yeah, Rob.
And he's
Sorry.
like,
Can you
Alec
get a
said
spot in the
that
comedy store?
Interstellar was worse than Antichrist. He's writing
I
that.
will
Can
say
you,
Antichrist had more internal logic than Interstellar.
It has any logic?
Well, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
you know, take that how you will.
Speak. It also.
Antichrist had empirically more logic than Interstellar did.
Did it?
Yeah.
I don't think that's a conversation I want to get
I'm
involved.
doing it. I'm gonna go and do that. I'm gonna
No.
watch Interstellar. I'm gonna watch Antichrist with this new system. And I'm gonna.
Well,
go and do it.
you can watch Antichrist if you want.
Do that.
I will. I will do that.
Is it
You would be wasting your time.
Anti-Stellar or Interchrist?
Oh, should I let me upload
Time is.
let me up the chat my poster for that. Oh wait, I see Simon the meme you put, Ben.
Oh yeah, have you seen my meme?
Yeah, sorry, I only just saw it.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, it's fine. That you
That's a
probably
good poster.
huh?
Good poster.
This. Oh crap! I need to charge my phone. Oh crap! It's gonna run out of battery.
Oh crap! I need to turn that on.
Those fucking scissors.
Oh, charge!
I'm very excited to watch it.
It's not charging. Ah!
That'd be Antichrist in a modern age. Because she'd have industrial scissors, industrial AI scissors, and she'd be like, "Oh god, they're not charging. I can't do this."
Oh my goodness! I've been on 1% for I don't know how long. Anyway,
I need the AI to do this for me.
anyway, I'm fucking. I want to say good night.
Good night, man.
I'm not sure if my camera was on, but yeah, sorry.
That's right. Good night, Emmanuel.
Good night, Mario.
Good night. Anyway, in the spirit of fantastic Mr. Fox, you picked a bad film, PT. Feel bad.
PT.
Anyways, so Rob, do you still have any of those jamless, ringless donuts?
I do.
So as I was saying, it was like I forgot about the Planet of the Donuts joke, and I was like, oh yeah, this really suits.
Oh, he's back.
We just saw Planet of the Ringless Donutless Donuts, and it was called Rurouni Kenshin.
I mean, it's what Rob's eating now, so I don't know if that's really the point we're gonna say. It's from Morrison's.
I'm gonna get rid of it for the show aspect of it. So look at this, Alec. It looks like a jam donut. Yeah.
Oh, hang on a minute. That looks like a blimp.
There's nothing in it.
Empty jam donut.
There's an empty jam donut. That looks like a cream-filled blimp without any cream.
Yeah, so Alec, you can't send jam to this place.
Yes, no jam. Actually, Rob needs some jam.
All I'm saying is a demand for more jam.
Because they're getting better the more I eat them.
Who did the drum sound?
Emmanuel.
You silly boy.
All right, so they have the eggs. I don't think I've
Anyway,
actually watched.
you're all very silly, and I'm glad this is losing the round. So.
What?
Huh?
We're all silly for what?
You're all silly, and yeah. That's it. I'm glad this is losing the round. And then I did a thing like I was fisting somebody.
Ah, dear.
There you go.
I've installed Evil Dead now.
Oh, nice, man.
Anyway, how are you guys?
Alright.
Okay, cool. I'm